Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Unrestricted Sports. Today, we are covering my new favorite sport, land hockey, or as I've been told, it's called lacrosse in the PLL Championship Series. Apparently, Ben's team just lost the Redwoods. They're going to cover that in this episode, and they're going to break down the other teams that we're playing today as well. So, without further ado, I'll let these guys get right into it, and enjoy the episode.
Yeah, so day 4 just concluded. Archers Water Dogs and Chrome Redwoods. Archers beat the Water Dogs 9-7. Chrome beat the Redwoods 12-11. So we'll start here with the Archers Water Dogs. I usually start off with just general game notes, but this was just seemed to be a normal game of lacrosse. Nothing really caught my eye that kind of affected both teams. Like I said, Archers took this one 9-7, improving to 2-0. Water Dogs took the loss, which puts them at 0-2. What are your general thoughts on this one, Ben?
Yeah, I mean, it was a relatively close contest. We had it was a lot of not necessarily back and forth, but there were a lot of ties. The Water Dogs got out to a start to the lead at first, but then from then on, it was basically Archers would score to tie, Water Dogs would score to take the lead, Archers would again score. At the end, the Archers pulled away. I mean, it was a pretty low-scoring game, 7-9. So that was notable in terms of that. We didn't have anyone who really put the game on their back. I was really, really impressed, though, with Christian Mazzone's play. I was impressed with him in their first game just yesterday, and he continued to impress today with, I want to say, 2 goals. I don't know if he got any assists or not.
Yeah, Christian Mazzone has had a good outing today and yesterday. I don't really want to talk about yesterday's bullshit with the refs and the Archers and the Atlas stuff because that's what it was. But again, just like with the Atlas and now with the Water Dogs, the Archers goalies were outstanding. They combined for a 70% save percentage on 35 shots from the Water Dogs. This time, Drew Adams started and Gittleman started in the second half, so a little bit of a switch up there. I don't know if that was experimental or a long-term plan or what the idea was there. We'll see in their next game, which is Thursday against the undefeated Chrome. So that'll definitely be something to watch out for, is just how that goalie tandem continues to play. Continuing defensively, in front of the goalies, obviously on the defensive side of the ball still for the Archers. A problem I saw was just switching on some of their picks. And a similar thing happened with the Water Dogs, is they would just more or less get caught watching and let either a midfielder or an attackman kind of slide out and just kind of be wide open for an easy bounce shot or shot on the goal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I just want to highlight, again, you talked about save percentage, but the Archers had a save percentage of 70%. So, I mean, no matter how many balls you're putting on net or how many high quality opportunities and shots you're getting as the Water Dogs, it's really tough to beat a goalie tandem that's putting up 70% save percentage. They switched it around. Gittleman played the second half, which he doesn't usually tend to, and I think he really stood on his head. Adams let up a few, not necessarily soft goals, but was a bit less stellar in the first half than Gittleman was in the second.
Yeah. Offensively for the Archers, I think they had passing problems against the Atlas more so in the first half. They definitely resolved that in today's game against the Water Dogs. There didn't seem to be many passing issues. Flashy passes from players like Grant Ament on that. I believe was that the Schreiber goal or was that a Mazzone goal? I forget.
Which one?
The behind the back pass from Grant Ament from X.
Schreiber. Ament to Schreiber.
Yeah, that was a pretty gnarly goal. Another thing I've noticed that has stayed consistent throughout the Archers' first 2 games is what they do with the shot clock. if I had to put money on how long the Archers would hold the ball, I would say all 52 seconds in the shot clock, because that's what they've done against the Atlas. That's what they've done against the Water Dogs, and I think that's what they'll continue to do in the rest of their games. The logic behind it, I'm not too sure if it's clock management or if it's just possessing the ball, keeping their defense on their toes. But so far, it seems to be benefiting them.
Yeah, it definitely benefited them in terms of defenses slacking off a little bit at the end, but it also has gotten to a fault where I don't think they're necessarily trying to hold it that long. It's just the announcers today noted that the Archers took about until 24 seconds left on the shot clock to get fully set up with all of their guys off the field, all their defensive guys off the field, and all their offensive guys on the field. So their transition from defense to offense once they're setting up is taking a little too long. Again, we can probably blame that on the fact that they were a bit tired today. I mean, their second game started only 19 hours after their first game yesterday. So, I mean, that's an intense turnaround for players of this caliber and just matching up against players of the caliber in the PLL. So, I mean, really credit to Archers to being able to lock down and not get discouraged throughout the game and turn it around in the last half and score. I just wanted to point out real quick, Gittleman had a 91 save percentage, which is insane.
Yeah, I don't know if... Sorry, I'll let you finish.
Yeah, 10 saves and 1 goal against, whereas Adams had 50%, which is solid, but still, I mean, Gittleman, 91%, huge. I think that's the reason.
See, I don't.
The Water Dogs lost.
I don't know if I would say. Well, yeah, I definitely see that as the reason they lost. Is the outstanding play of Gittleman, but I don't know if it's more so that Drew Adams' play wasn't impressive, or if it was that the Water Dogs, just like against the Atlas, just had a very bad second half.
Yeah, I mean that's fair, but I think they actually had more shots. They had about the same level of shots in the second half that they did in the first. Let me just check those stats real quick. Yeah. So Gittleman had 10 saves, 1 goal against. So that's 11 shots, right? And Drew Adams had 6 goals against, 6 saves. So that's 12. So, I mean, they were shooting about the same amount. They had the same amount of opportunities. Gittleman just locked them down.
Yeah, I guess I have to give credit where credit is due, and Gittleman definitely deserves that credit. I think that's about it for the Archers. Notably, you obviously have them as zone play, like me and Ben had mentioned, and then the 2 Schreiber goals. Besides that, you have Grant Ament shining again, proving that he is a top 2 rookie in the league alongside Brian Costable, or however you pronounce his last name correctly.
Yeah, 4 points today, 4 points yesterday. So he's currently leading the point list with 8, which is insane. We have Grant Ament with 8 points, Kieran McArdle with 7 points, and Brian Costabile with 7 points. So that in the top 3, you got the first and second overall draft picks.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because defenses aren't sliding to them as they see they're like rookies, so a little less of a threat or what, but whatever it is, it's clearly a mistake.
Yeah. Moving on to the Water Dogs. So we got very quick notes on them. 1 for defense, 1 for offense. Like I've noted, they obviously had another second half struggle similar to their game against the Atlas. But their fast break D kind of suffered today. I would obviously attribute some of that to the ability of the Archers to sub Tom Schreiber on very early. I've noticed that most other teams kind of put out their big guns last and let their offense kind of possess the ball before like a Paul Rabel or a Romar Dennis gets on the field, for the Atlas especially. But the Archers get Schreiber out there right away, and that's how they push in transition. So that's where they struggled today, and that's where Archers got a few of their goals.
Yeah, I think that was a smart move on their half. But I mean, again, even though the Water Dogs fall to 0-2, they've looked really, really solid against both the Atlas and Archers, who have a pretty stacked offensive core. So, I mean, props to them. We'll see if they can turn it around in the second half of the play-in series. But, yeah.
Yeah.
That's about all I have.
Yeah, not really many players of note for the Water Dogs either. I still think the Water Dogs are trying to figure out who their main guy is on attack. But Kieran McCardle, like you've mentioned, is shining. Former Atlas, so dear to my heart. But that's about all I have for that. It'll be interesting to see if the Archers can keep it up against the undefeated Chrome, and if the Water Dogs can break their losing streak when they play next, which is also against the Chrome.
Yeah.
Moving on, speaking of the Chrome defeating the Redwoods 12-11 in a thrilling ender, with a little too late for the Redwoods. I'll let Ben take this away. I think this is unexpected, to say the least, based off of what the projections were, not only in sports betting in between me and Ben, but just the general consensus between PLL enthusiasts. So I'll let Ben take this one. And before you go, another very dominant performance from Connor Farrell and another upsetting performance from the Redwoods face-off men. Anyways, Ben.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough game. As a Redwoods fan who came into the tournament kind of expecting us to go 3-1 or 4-0 and kind of, be really good so far, we've been struggling. Part of that's face-off. Peyton Smith went 7 for 18, which is just 39%. And Greg Pasculjan went 2 for 5, which is only 40%. I mean, losing those face-offs, it makes it really hard for your offense to get the ball. And it also puts your defense and goalie just kind of in a tough situation where they're constantly defending. But something I really want to talk about, and something that has been a huge, huge issue for the Redwoods, both in this game and in the season opener against the Whipsnakes, is discipline. Today, I mean, obviously, Matt Gaudette has kind of painted a target on his back in his chirps against Blaze Reardon. A lot of veterans just don't like seeing a rookie chirp like that. I mean, you're going to get targeted even if you're not chirping necessarily said team. It's just kind of, it's something that happens in all sports leagues. If you're a rookie, you shut your mouth, and otherwise veterans are going to mess you up. I mean, that's just kind of a rite of passage in sports. So Gaudette it was a bit chippy today in terms of Gaudette. And then right at the end of the second quarter, Garrett Epple blew Gaudette up in front of the goal. Great, perfect, textbook, clean, big lacrosse hit. But then he went for 2 cross checks to the head while Gaudette was on the ground, which resulted in a 2-minute non-releasable penalty, during which the Chrome scored 3 goals. Now, the game was lost by 1 goal. So without those 3 sloppy goals caused by Apple's lapse in judgment and just letting Gaudette get under his skin is what turned into a loss. I think that's really where you can point at on paper and say, this is where the Redwoods lost the game. I mean, they had a great second half, but it was too much to recover from a huge deficit. And I don't want to talk about it too much, but in their first game against the Whipsnakes, Ryder Garnsey didn't score at all. Really because the Whipsnakes defense shut him down, and he got frustrated at the refs, and he started playing undisciplined. So if the Redwoods want to win, which I think they can, I think they still have the most stacked team, most likely chance to win, just based off the roster. I think that they need to work on their discipline, because they're not going to win playing undisciplined like they are.
Yeah, I don't really have much to say on the Redwoods. I really think you've said it all. I think their main problem lies with the discipline and face-offs. Um, it was very promising to see the absolute onslaught of Sergio Perkovic. It was good to see Ryder Garnsey wake up. Clark Peterson and Brendan Gleeson again bringing something to the table for the Redwoods. So, like you said, definitely have the potential to do well. But what's more so, I guess, interesting in this game in particular is the Chrome. They beat the Chaos in what was a relatively close game. Um, and personally, at least, it was more of like okay, the Chrome looked good, but it could have just been a bad outing from the Chaos, or it could have just been an extreme case from the Chrome, especially in Gutterding's and Jordan Wolf's case. But this game showed that the Chrome aren't, that same bad team we saw in the first season. Gutterding had another 3 points, 2 goals and an assist. Jordan Wolf added on another 2 goals. You have John Ranigan contributing. Ned Crotty got 4 points as well. All around the board, all these guys that we saw last year that people were saying, oh, look at these guys, they're subpar, they're the Detroit Red Wings of the PLL and trash. It just goes to show that, anything can really happen. And like we've noted, there's so much talent on all these teams that the second they click in the right system, so much can happen. Now, granted, I don't think the Chrome are the best team in the league. I think they've just kind of surprised. I think based off of how the Redwoods have looked discipline wise, I'm not shocked the Chrome beat them. And I'm not shocked really that the Chrome beat the Chaos. After rewatching the game, the Chaos just kind of looked sloppy. So, like I've mentioned previously, it'll be interesting to see how the Chrome can do against the other undefeated team in the Archers. Oddly enough, that game's on NBC Sports Gold. So I'm a little shocked as to why that was on NBC Sports Gold before the season started, but now I understand why. Kind of a coincidence there, but nonetheless. That's about all I have to say. Let me know what you think on the Chrome, though.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say to your credit, you were a lot less optimistic and way more of a realist about the Redwoods face-off situation. As a fan, I kind of brushed it off. I was like, nah, they'll be fine. But you definitely called that one. I mean, Payne Smith has not looked terrible, right? He's on the borderline, right? He's solid. Greg Pasculjan, I don't know. We don't have a large enough sample size to tell.
Yeah.
But I don't think what you keep saying about Chrome is everyone kind of wrote him off last year, which I think was a mistake. They had 5 games that they lost by 1 goal. And some of them went to OT. They had very close games. And while, yeah, they did lose a ton of their players, they have the most new players on their roster. So their 22-man roster, they have 12 new players just because of people who could not make it to the PLL bubble. I mean, I definitely think they were a real threat. And I think a lot of teams kind of underestimated them, knowing their history from last year and knowing that they got 12 new players. So, I mean, we'll see. I feel like teams can't really underestimate them anymore at this point. I mean, they're one of 2 teams that are 2-0 right now, the Archers and Chrome. So, yeah, I think we just kind of have to look to the future and see how this all shakes out.
Yeah, that's about all I have. Again, I wouldn't say any team is out of it at this point. The Redwoods going 0-2. I mean, they're still going to make the playoffs. Every team makes it, so you can't write any team off. The Redwoods could start slow and be hot, and the Chrome could start hot and end up slow. So, we really can't. Projections are exactly that, projections, and we just got to wait and see. So thanks again, Ben, for coming on. We will be back tomorrow. Probably it'll be a little bit later of an upload just because of the game time. Why it's starting at 11 p.m. Eastern, I have absolutely no idea, seeing that there's only one game. But Redwood's chaos should prove to be an interesting one. Redwood should have some grit in this game. I definitely see them as the better team. But I also saw the Redwoods as the better team compared to the Chrome. So it'll be interesting to see. But yeah, thanks again.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks again for coming. So that's going to wrap up our episode today, guys. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Really does help out the channel. And we will see you guys next time. Make sure you tune in. Peace.